What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're back to work on the flooded Ferrari. We got those seats out and the carpet. Now we got to address this battery and the battery fuse board. We ordered a battery fuse panel from Australia. It has arrived. Now we just need to get a new battery. So let's head that way. Well, we temporarily hooked up the new battery, but nothing happens when we turn that key. Installed our new fuse panel for the positive side from Australia. We made something up for the negative side. We have a terminal on order. We also vacuumed the engine bay, and I've got new filters on the way, but this is what is underneath them. But everything else is actually looking pretty clean. So now we're gonna work more on the electrical and move on into the interior, because all of the connections for the harness are on the floor of this car. So they were fully submerged, and we've got our main fuse boxes underneath the driver's side dash and underneath the passenger side dash, along with some fuses on the back side of the rear seats. And we disconnected the SRS module just for safety when we were turning the key, but didn't matter because nothing happened. But this dash is pretty nasty, so we're gonna pull this whole dashboard out and see what's behind it and clean and fix what we can. Well, this dash is coming out pretty easy. Pretty much everything is bolted in with a T25. And we started removing the driver's side door panel and disconnected everything on the door harness, including where it connects to the dash harness. Then moving to the passenger side, we removed the glove box and the components around that, exposing the dash frame that is super crusty back there. And also something funky, Ferrari. This is a 2016. Why do we have a DVD player in this sucker? I haven't seen one of these things in a hot minute, but it is Ferrari made. Anyway, we've got the wiring right here that goes to the dash airbag underneath this SRS airbag, and we'll get to this mess later. But then in order to remove this center section, you have to remove the lower trim on the driver's side. So with the glove box out, we moved over to the driver's side panel. We removed this dash piece that has the lights and the parking brake connections on the back side of this. And this steering wheel is super cool because it has the carbon package all throughout. It's got the center bezel piece that's carbon, the bottom, and this top section that has the shift lights. Now, something else that was super cool that I noticed with this is when I press the center, there's no horn. Well, it turns out if you look really closely on the steering wheel, there are horn icons on the sides of the steering wheel. And listen to this. That is how you activate the horn, and I have never seen that before, but I guess it must be a Ferrari thing. But anyway, let's keep removing this dash. Well, our steering shaft is pretty rusty. I'm thinking the water line was right about here. The reason I say this is because this connector was in the back of this module at an angle like this, and the water stops about halfway on this connector. And here's the switch that connector is for, and it's at an angle. So I'm thinking the water got all the way up to about the controls, which would make sense why the steering shaft is super rusty. Now check this thing out. This thing is pretty cool. This is the paddle shifter up and down for the Ferrari. Got its own control module, and it actuates down there. It even tells you the voltage readings for up and down, 9.91 and 10.61. Anyway, that's junk. Now we have our ignition, hopefully not junk, because then we need to program a new one. Now the airbag, definitely not savable because that's stuff you don't play around with. Now all this corrosion you see around this aluminum dash frame is called galvanic corrosion, and I believe all this white stuff on the outside is aluminum oxide. Apparently it's when salt eats aluminum, and that is the reason we're gonna need to replace some of these metal components behind the dash. And real quick, this steering wheel is pretty sick because of all the controls in it. It has its own control module in the bottom, and all the wires are actually integrated into this steering wheel, which makes it a little bit harder to rebuild, but we're definitely gonna give this a shot. And we still have a little bit more of the dash to take out, so let's take the rest of it out. Man, this dash is really making me work for it. After taking out almost everything I could on the driver's side, we moved to the passenger side to try and get this top section of the dash off. It's in multiple pieces. This aluminum frame is then bolted to a metal frame or metal bracketry, and then you have this upper plastic piece that has the leather and all of the special Ferrari stuff on it. The steering shaft just unbolts right on the aluminum frame. This piece is actually metal. Here is where my dilemma lies. I can't get this top section off because I think there are bolts that bolt in from the front engine bay. And I say that because if I lift up this dash, I can see the backside of some bolts. And this thing will not budge. But man, just look at the corrosion on this aluminum frame. Anyway, I think I need to start taking off the wipers and the cowling there and see if the dash is actually bolted in from the engine bay. Well, unfortunately, I think we need the windshield out to actually finish taking that dash out, which is what I was trying to avoid. But when I check online for any videos of dash removal on a Ferrari California, I can't find a thing, and I don't have access to any service information on how that dash is supposed to come out, according to Ferrari. But with those panels removed, this is our windshield wiper motor, our brake booster with our brake fluid reservoir. You can kind of get a better view of the turbo down there. It's got a lot of heat shielding on it. And I'm definitely a huge fan of the symmetry of this wiring harness for the injectors. Then on this side, we have the power steering fluid. We have our coolant actually right here. You can see it's still red down there, so I don't think any water got into it. That's nice. And then we have our air box into our AC box. So since it looks like we're gonna need the glass out, we're gonna pause on the front of the dash and move to the rear and start stripping the seats so we can access all of the harnesses for the rear chassis. Gotta put these in a bag and label them, and then let's get back to work. The rear body interior panels on this Ferrari are turning out to be a real challenge. In here, you've got panels bolted to each other, and this whole bottom section is the whole seat, so I'm not even sure how these come apart. And then up here, you've got the whole piece disconnected, but then you have two bolts right in there, and this piece won't come out unless those bolts are out. And since we can't move this piece, there's a bolt underneath that piece for this long piece up top here. So man, everything is just not working together. Definitely some challenges, but we did remove the speaker, and hey, on the bright side, the speaker is almost perfect. No corrosion on those pins, and everything looks really nice. Fun fact, these aluminum bars right here are actually for the airbag system on this convertible. So if you were ever to get into a rollover when you had the convertible down, these aluminum bars actually shoot straight up. If you ever got rolled over on top, would be the thing the car would be resting on upside down. Plus, they are pretty heavily mounted to the chassis. Well, it's getting late here, and I've had enough rusty bolts for one evening, but I do have a very special package to open up with you guys on camera. As you guys know, anytime I'm out riding, I always am running this Cardo to listen to music. With the JBL speakers inside and The microphone right down there. This thing is a game changer when I'm riding. So Cardo sent out a special limited edition Ducati Pack-Tuck Edge that I'm gonna open right now. Ooh, there's our red box. And there she is. Pop the old one off. Boom. Got the new one installed, and it matches the helmet. That's sick. The rest of the stuff in the package is just some speakers and these special Ducati Pack-Tuck Edge pocket guides. I wanted to end on a good note because that interior paneling can be a headache sometimes. We got the glass guy coming out to take out the front windshield to finish out the dash, and then we have to finish the rear trim. That is gonna be all for tonight, guys. It is pretty late, so we will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.